There we go.
All right, welcome everyone to the Town of McCandless Town Council meeting of May 24th, 2021. I would like to announce that council met in an executive session to discuss a real estate property transaction, and that was held prior to this meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Woods.
Since we'll be observing Memorial Day next Monday, I'd like to have a moment of silence in honor of the women and men who gave their lives while serving in the U.S. military. Thank you. And now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right, announcements. I will, just in case someone just is coming on, I will reiterate what RJ said, which is please put your name and your address in the chat box if you would like to speak. If you want to speak during the public hearing, put chickens next to your name. If you want to speak during general comment, and you may speak during both, then you can put general comment or you can put not chickens, whatever. So we know when to, how to open your mic for which topic. I would also say that there was a public hearing that was advertised to be tonight for Steel City billboards. The applicant has requested that this hearing be continued until August in order to allow the land development application for this site to be considered at the same time as the conditional use application. The continued public hearing will be posted once scheduled on the town website. All right, that's it for the announcements that I have. So we can get started on our public hearing. I would like to call to order the public hearing on the ordinance to adopt regulations governing the keeping of chickens for personal use and enjoyment and for the associated chicken coop and run as an accessory facility in the R1, R2, R5, and RC zoning districts. RJ.
Yes.
This
here
has
we
come
are again.
before. This has come before us before. So we split it. Explain to people why this is two things instead of one, and what basically the one change is in this.
Sure. So back in the fall, if you were tuned in for public hearing number 1, welcome back. Not too many material changes to the zoning. There actually were less restrictive setbacks being proposed compared to the last time. It was originally 100 feet from any lot line. That has since dropped down to 50. You know, in no small part in result to the excellent feedback that we received on the McCandless and Me engagement project page, where a lot of you told us, you know, I'd like to have chickens over here. And when we took a look at your lots, we said, all right, that 100-foot setback is not going to catch any of you. So that's sort of the major change to the zoning portion of the ordinance. As our council president also alluded to, this ordinance, which went through kind of a journey where originally it was being considered with some household pets general regulations. We split that apart so they could be considered separately. And again, we have split this ordinance into 2 pieces because the previous draft version essentially had some you know, health, sanitation, standards for animal care that more appropriately belonged in our general nuisances code. Sort of the boring administrative, you know, delineation between the two is general offenses and nuisance would be a code enforcement violation, whereas the stuff that still stays in zoning that would be related to the actual structure of the coop and run, where it goes on your lot, how big it can be, those things are more appropriate for zoning and would be more appropriate for zoning enforcement action should there be any issue. So although there are 2 different types of ordinances, the zoning ordinance is the one that requires a public hearing. If there are any material changes, the general nuisances, sort of those health sanitation issues, Those do not require a full-blown public hearing, but we've sort of just combined them tonight because, hey, that's what we've been talking about this whole time. Everyone's interested in the whole issue, right? The only other things that are probably worth mentioning at this point are to council, you all had an internal staff report that just noted that we had 4 additional survey responses on the McCann Listen to Me project and page, engagement page, because we opened it back up per council request in advance of the public hearing. That was 3 that were pro chicken and 1 that was no chicken. We also had 2 additional map markers that were placed for people that were interested in chickens, and that 50-foot setback should catch both of them. So again, continuing, you know, with sort of the research that we had in the fall for the setbacks. One other item that arose from the Planning Commission discussion was Mr. Wakauskas had commented that he would prefer the hobby farm term to be removed from the ordinance. I gave you all some of my thoughts in the staff report, but essentially I think it sort of was just an old term from some of the model ordinances that we use that maybe meant something in those communities, but doesn't really have a functional definition for us. So if that would remove his reservations from the Planning Commission side, I would be comfortable with us removing that term. So that's kind of everything. If anyone has any questions at this stage, though, I'm happy to answer them.
Member Smith.
On the hobby farms thing, is that the existing language? I just had it pulled up. Like section 8, subsection B1. Are we just saying if we essentially take it out of there, it doesn't have a practical effect on the ordinance that we're passing, because essentially if there is such a thing as a hobby farm, it gets grandfathered in anyway, regardless of what it's referred to as?
Well, so I think the different, because this was a big issue with Mr. Wakauskas' comments as well, you know, making sure that we don't grandfather anyone that didn't go through the proper channels originally, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not so much that as there is no such thing as a hobby farm for a technical term in our zoning ordinance. So right now, if you want to have chickens, this thing, you know, this amendment has not passed. Right now, if you want to have chickens, you need to have an R1 or R2 property that is at least 5 acres in size and also has gone through a conditional use process to be a farm. You don't have to be a farm where that's how you survive, you know, that's your income. It could even just be, you know, essentially a hobby farm, one might say, if that's not your prime income. Our zoning code doesn't differentiate between that type of farm and a farm that is somebody's primary income. The only thing that's really differentiated officially is there are certain agricultural protections for full-time, you know, primary income farms, which again, I think there's only a few, if that many here. And anyone that would fall under any type of reason to have a farm right now, they would need to have gone through that conditional use process to be compliant. So there's not really anyone to grandfather if they did the right thing originally.
Mm-hmm.
Any other council comments before we open up to public comment? All right, RJ, you want to get us started?
You know, I didn't have anybody signed up, so we could always give it just a little longer in case anyone in the audience wants to hop in the chat box to sign up, but.
RJ, do you have that nice picture that shows all the places that you can have chickens? It was sent today, just last minute.
Bob, was that something that we had?
That was the drawing that you shared with me.
Okay, we're screen sharing that?
Yes.
Would that be okay?
Okay.
That just gives
anyone.
anyone.
I just got to download it here, but I can get that quickly.
Yeah, just see that it really, really does open up. Everything green is where you can have chickens. So
theoretically, but
okay.
But yes.
All right.
I'll do the disclaimer when we put it up on the screen.
Okay. And this also gives anyone time that if they want to sign up, this is your last call for comments.
Okay.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that, RJ.
No, that's totally fine. I had to get it down from the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what you're all seeing here is a map that we pulled together on GIS. Essentially, what this is doing is it took any parcels that had any usable square footage that were at least 50 feet from any lot line. And also the usable square footage was in the backyard, because that's where accessory structures, you know, across the code currently are required to be. So this chicken coop and run would be treated the same as, you know, those accessory structures in regards to it has to be in the rear yard. Now, for anyone at home who may be looking here and saying, oh, you know, I see my house on there. If you can read that level of detail on this screen, please understand that this is just a general assessment of the dimensions of the parcel. We don't know what you have in your backyard. We don't know if any of the parts that were included in, you know, functional, usable, theoretical square footage, let's say, would actually work for you. So if you see your parcel on this map, it's not a guarantee that you could get a permit. It's just saying your lot is big enough that with these 50-foot setbacks we've dropped down to, potentially there's somewhere you could fit a coop and run.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, RJ.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have anyone pop up for public comment?
I do not
Okay.
see.
All right.
I received a direct message permit question, but to the person that sent that, I can help you through my regular town contact, because right now is not a back and forth Q&A. Thank you for your question, though.
Okay. All right, then, if there are no further questions, I will close out the public hearing. All right, moving on to public comment. Now, again, put your name in the chat box and your address, and we will contact you and give you a invitation to open your mic, and you have 5 minutes. You can speak on any topic that you would like. RJ, do we have anyone signed up?
We do not currently.
Okay. All right. All right. So we've announced that 3 times. So I think
I'm
that's a
sorry,
good
I have
job.
gotten a sign up.
Okay. All right. I was going to say we've announced it 3 times. All right. Go ahead.
All right, this is for Mr. Jack Casey. I am going to send him a camera and microphone request.
Hi, is that working?
Yes.
Good. Can I start?
Please do.
Hello, my name's Jack Casey. I live at 10030 Tambara Court. That's above Vestal Field between Route 19 and Pine Creek Road. Does anybody know what the most important 300 feet and what the most in the township is? Well, I'll give you some clues. First, it's also the most treacherous 300 feet in the township. You can literally walk from Costco in Cranberry to Ross Township and never come across a section nearly as dangerous to traverse. Second, it provides accessibility to the town's largest business district. Plenty of shopping, including grocery stores, automobile dealers, lots of services, sport venues, recreation, tennis, schools, etc. Now, it also connects to the streets of Longview, Forest View, Hillcrest, Oak Ridge, Tambara Court, as well as homes on Pine Creek Road, well over 100. Third, it would also connect softball and baseball fields by the amazing Vestal Trail and the Potter. It's also accessible to the Potter Trail and the Harmony Short Line and other beautiful hiking areas. So if you guess the Route 19 section from Firestone to Longview, you're spot on. Additionally, if you cross Route 19 at Brook Tree Road and go down Broker Drive, you can find the Allegheny Trail system and get into the North Park system. Passes for soccer fields too. Eventually, it gets you to all the trails in the North Park system. If school safety is a concern for council, like it was when you built the school crossings on Cumberland Road, then you should be concerned about the North Allegheny High School athletes frequently running in our neighborhood. I have no idea how they get here, but it can't be easy and it can't be safe. There are also students who can walk from to and from Nash. As a neighborhood, we had hoped that when the state rebuilt Route 19, that we would have addressed our long aforementioned concern for safety connecting Longview and the Wexford Flats. We had discussed this with McCandless over multiple decades. Our neighborhood had many discussions with the town manager, Toby Kordick, Mark Sabina, and Bruce Betty. Currently, there is a very dangerous and narrow right-of-way along Route 19 between Longview Avenue and the Firestone store. Anyone walking to or from the flats takes an exceptional risk in this extremely short distance. There are 3 properties which neither hillside cut back. All are currently for sale. If you would simply make the road as wide as the rest of Route 19 from Forest View down to Pine Creek, the Pine Creek area, we'd be very happy. If town residents' safety is truly your concern, you really need to widen this piece of Route 19 for a very short distance so we can safely traverse from Oak Ridge to the flats. If the council is truly concerned about the neighborhood's sidewalk connectivity as they professed, then this is the sidewalk for you. I listened in wonderment at your last council meeting, looking to add sidewalks across the street from the current sidewalks at Passman Hospital, and there is currently no need. Also distressing is the township manager's notes mentioning of widening a perfectly wide bridge on Grubbs Road to accommodate a sidewalk to nowhere, but not one peep about our concerns since Bill Kirk left office. It's really not necessary to have a dedicated sidewalk, but if the road, at the very least, could simply be widened to match the rest of Route 19 Pine Creek Hill, that would meet us at least halfway. Incidentally, everybody is subjected to potential harm in this area. Just think what could happen with just one distracted driver. It would not only ruin their life, but the person that they hit. Our ultimate concern is the safety of students, pedestrians, and drivers. Hopefully, the council has the same concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments? RJ?
No, that was the only person we had signed up.
All right, thank you. We will move on to meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections before we make a motion to approve for the minutes of May 10th, 2021? Everything look pretty good? All right, then can I have a motion, please?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Woods.
I move to approve the meeting of town council minutes from May 10th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Clunin. Okay, again, a call for any changes, additions. Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Liaison reports, Activity Advisory Committee.
Please note that the report is in your packet, and I do want to announce again that we are still looking for a committee member, and a reminder that this can be any individual from McCandless. It is not subject to being in a specific ward. And we are getting excited to start planning more events as restrictions are lifted. And we would love to have more involvement from the community, either as a volunteer for a particular project or as a committee member. And here to answer any questions you might have.
Councilmember Clunin, I see that you're working on your welcome packets. You might be able to get some help from Councilmember Taro from the Chamber of Commerce now that we're making that connection. So that might be somebody to check in with. When I was reading your report, I thought of that because they definitely should have some information to help you.
Great. I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
That's all.
EAC?
Thank you, Madam President. The minutes of the last EAC meeting are in council's packets. I additionally wanted to point out that the EAC is planning on issuing a recommendation for council's consideration regarding the use of coal tar sealants. This is also a matter that has I noted was discussed in the one of the last COG meetings as well. Since coal tar is a carcinogenic substance, other municipalities are considering bans or resolutions, at least resolutions that at least urge residents and commercial users to not use it. So in any event, this will be coming to council for consideration in the near future. Also, to make it easier for council, I do hope that you have or will take the time to have reviewed the pit capstone project information, but our project manager, Jonathan Bernstein, on the committee is going to provide for council's benefit a kind of a cliff note summary of the outcomes of the two projects, as well as recommendations on action items that the town council might want to take up for the next year. And like the Activities Advisory Committee, we also have an open position, committee membership. It is not limited to any particular ward, so we are anxiously awaiting applications for that position. And that concludes my report, unless there are any questions. Yes.
I do have a question about the coal tar. I'm curious now, if there is a resolution created with the approval of council, does this apply to all roads or just to town roads and town properties? Or does this include state and county roads as well?
I don't know the answer to that question. The resolution that was, if this is what EAC, I mean, council can do whatever. It'll at least start the discussion for council.
I appreciate the research.
The Hampton resolution really just goes on record as saying, we don't want carcinogenic coal tar sealant used in our town. Please don't use it. Other communities, and I believe Fox Chapel may have done so, but I'm not 100% sure, actually banned it. But typically, just for everybody, what you buy at the big box stores is asphalt sealant. It is not coal tar sealant, but apparently there are some larger commercial users, or perhaps those people who just go around neighborhoods saying, hey, do you want your driveway sealed? That are continuing to use the coal tar product. So
Okay.
This is actually more driveway and parking lot
Right.
matter than it is a road
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
issue.
Thank you.
Finance Development and Promotional Committee for the Heritage Center.
The excuse me. The meeting minutes are in your packet from, I think it was from the most recent meeting just last week. And did just want to point out that the Heritage Center will be opening to full capacity starting next week, June 2nd. And they will also be open extended hours for Community Day, but full capacity starting next week at June 2nd.
Any questions? Junior council member.
Don't believe he's on.
Yes, he is. He's
Okay.
on.
Sorry,
He's on.
couldn't
Um,
find his name.
so essentially nothing much to add. The report, it all consisted of was just me writing more about this position and how much I've loved the journey of it. And if you have anyone who's interested, please welcome them to apply. We just posted that on the Instagram just recently. But if anybody has any questions, just feel free to contact me at my email at rajgindi15@gmail.com.
And to Roger's credit, he's communicated that very effectively. That we have 6 applicants.
Wow, yeah, that's
So
great.
that's really awesome. And I honestly, I think that's related to your Instagram. I do. I think that's good work. Good work. When is your last meeting?
My last meet, I actually, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I don't know if mine ends August and then the person starts in September, which is what the person before me did, or my last meeting is in.
It follows the school year.
Okay.
So I think I believe it was the first meeting of June, but he opted to continue through the summer.
Okay.
Which we said was fine. If you wanted to do that, I think that would be fine too.
Okay.
But I didn't, if you were out of school before then, so, but I think it was the first meeting in June, I think was the last one. So let us know.
Absolutely.
But we suffer, but we managed to get through the summer without our junior council member if we need to.
Absolutely.
All right.
I won't leave you high and dry.
I know you won't. All right. All right. Any questions for Raj at all? He's doing a nice job. Ambulance Authority.
Thank you. There's minutes and an agenda and financials in council's packet. There was an event at the Ambulance Authority last week, and Mr. Grimm, did you want to, in a roundtable discussion with Senator Williams and Representative McCurry, as well as representatives of the 5 communities served by the MFPAA. So, Mr. Grimm, is there anything you wanted to just report out on that roundtable discussion?
Thank you. The roundtable essentially was talking about legislation that's pending in Harrisburg that is needed to assist the ambulance authorities and similar EMS agencies throughout the state in their reimbursement efforts with insurance companies and also through Medicare. So there was some discussion at length regarding that, those pieces of legislation. We have received copies of those and passed them along to our various associations asking for their support of those. I did hear from the Municipal League today that they are in support of those pieces of legislation. In fact, one piece that was discussed briefly, Representative McCurry signed off on as a co-sponsor of the legislation. So things are moving forward there. The other item that I wanted to mention to you was that there was some discussion regarding overall representation on the board. And I would anticipate that we'll hear from the ambulance authorities some suggestions on making some changes to the makeup of the board. And so that will be discussed probably over the course of the next month or two.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any questions?
I attended that event with Mr. Grimm, and it to support and to celebrate EMS Week. And it was a very nice ceremony before the roundtable discussion, recognizing some of the first line responders. So it's a very nice, and it's posted on all of our media sites if you would like to see it. And it got some television coverage too, I believe. So it was a nice event.
Excellent. That concludes my report.
Okay, I think the MIDA did not have a meeting. So next is the Sanitary Authority.
The most recent meeting minutes and I think agenda are in your packet. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But one thing I did want to do out, I did want to mention, I don't think we've normally done this, but it wouldn't be bad to start. Mike Stupi is retiring from MTSA after 37 years. So he is the master of the federal discount program, which Bob, I know you're familiar with, and he's done a lot of stuff for the town through the MTSA over the last 37 years. So just wanted to to mention him, and maybe that's something we could start doing from these things from now on.
Congratulations to Mike Stupi on his retirement and his long years of service. North Hills COG.
The most recent approved meeting minutes are in your packets. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, that concludes my report.
Okay, Northland Public Library.
The meeting minutes are in your packet. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
All right. Personnel Board.
The meeting minutes are in your packets. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. Nope, and that concludes my report.
Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber of Commerce.
The first meeting that I will be attending is Thursday at 4 o'clock. So I'll have a report next month.
Terrific. All right, great. The Planning Commission, there is a full report in there of what's cooking and what's coming forward. Do you have any questions? All right, Technology Committee.
The report is in your packets. We're doing interviews this week for hopefully a new member of that committee. But if you have any other questions, please let me know.
Great. All right, thank you. Volunteer Firefighter Steering Committee.
The meeting minutes are in your packets. Please let me know if you have any questions on that too. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Zoning Hearing Board.
Excuse me, the meetings have been in your packet and happy to answer any questions you may have about the zoning board.
Okay. All right, ad hoc committees. Anything new in the storm water management?
Thank you, Madam President. Early this month, there was a meeting with town staff and engineers where we reviewed the proposed modifications to our current stormwater ordinance. We are following up with a, hopefully, I think it's in the process of being finalized, a stormwater subcommittee meeting later this week to also review that ordinance or the proposed modifications. And once the subcommittee reviews that, makes comments, I think the next step would be to put that in front of council for their consideration, which we should be able to do in fairly short order. There was also on May 6th, there was an MS4 review meeting with that I sat in on with Gateway and town staff. With lots of good work being done on all of our MS4 initiatives. Our town manager, Mr. Grimm, has recently been in touch with Pine, getting updates on all of the things that they have been working on. Additional basins at Wexford Station, a pond in the Lloydmont plan that is being updated, which flows into Wexford Run. 2 new ponds are being built at the new hospital site, and improvements are underway at the North Point Pond. While Blue Heron has been a concern, Pine does report they're continuing to assess efforts to find solutions in that area. So we know that Pine is upstream from us, so we're trying to stay in close contact with them as to their efforts. So what we do here in McCandless can complement theirs as well. The other thing that in our subcommittee meeting that we will be doing is receiving a presentation on the topic of stormwater fees, something that we've been talking about, trying to get a better understanding of so that we can engage all of council in a more in-depth discussion. That's my report. Any questions?
Grant writing?
This committee has not met for several weeks. I know we do need to get on the agenda to meet, possibly start looking at resources that might be available through universities coming in the fall. Hopefully we will be able to do that very soon.
All right, the police community engagement.
The newest thing that we have to add is on Tuesday, August 3rd, there'll be a national night out where our police department is going to join with the rest of the police departments across the country and have a public gathering in Town Hall parking lot. And they're going to have police, fire, and medics there to welcome, say hello, and get to know and see our residents. And it's just we're stirring the planning right now. And I should say that they're going to try to have food trucks and stuff there. So more details to come, but it'd be Tuesday, August 3rd. They're looking at 5 to 8, 6 to 9, somewhere right around there.
Any questions? It isn't on here, but the budget committee is going to be meeting in June. We will contact, that contact information is going to be going out when we can schedule that. So just to let you all be aware of that. President's report and correspondence. I was just going to thank the Franklin Park Ambulance Authority for their nice emergency appreciation week event, but I did that. So let's move on to the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam President. You do have copies of the report. I just wanted to highlight one item on there, and that is the Route 19 sidewalk project. We wanted to get some guidance from you all to see what direction we needed to go with that project. As I have stated in prior reports, the engineers are estimating that to do that work, because of some retaining walls that would have to be built, some earthworks that would have to be done, perhaps utility adjustments there. They're estimating that that cost could exceed $100,000 over what we have through our grant program. So we've looked at some alternatives through the school, more of a trail idea than a sidewalk. We've also been talking with Gateway whether there are other locations to consider. And what I wanted to run past you tonight was whether or not you wanted us to proceed with trying to find the alternative as we had originally laid it out along Route 19, or whether we look at one of the other alternatives, regardless of what we do other than working through the Route 19 project as originally proposed. We'll have to request a change of scope for the grant. So whether we go through the school or find another location somehow along our own streets, we'll have to change the scope slightly. So I wanted to just kind of pick your brains for a few minutes and get some guidance there.
I believe we're waiting for the sidewalk survey that would give us the information on indeed the heaviest traveled areas and where sidewalks are needed the most, where there's the most pedestrian traffic. So I think, and perhaps I'm wrong, but I think we're waiting for that information before we can make a decision on where to go.
That makes sense. I guess the one specific question would be, do we want to whether we try to find additional information or additional funding for the Route 19 area, or do we just wait? You know, we don't have the money readily available budgetarily. So It's not as if we can throw $100,000 at that project
Right.
without doing some budget adjustment. Any thoughts, any questions other than what Zachary mentioned,
Madam
which I'm
President,
okay with waiting, believe me. I just,
Councilmember Woods.
Mr. Graham, is the amount of the grant, is it sufficient to get the trail through the North Allegheny property?
we believe it would be.
Okay. From my point of view, if we've highlighted this as an area that we want to have some connectivity and we just have to have an alternate route to what we originally planned, I think we can still accomplish the goal of connecting it, just maybe not the same way that we thought that we could. I'd like to see us move forward with that area. Like, obviously, at some point, not this council, but the previous one had decided that that was an area that they wanted to address. And I think we should probably finish that out.
The problem that I see with having a trail through the woods is, well, I see many problems with that. And the problem is, we're building on someone else's property. It seems like that's something that the school should undertake on their property, right? Because we were talking about sidewalks. I don't think the public is going to go up into the school property, nor do I think the school's going to want the public going up onto their property. Who's going to maintain that property? I mean, that trail. I personally would not be comfortable walking on a trail that was kind of back alone, kind of solitary as a female. I wouldn't be comfortable taking that if I even knew it was there. One of the reasons that we had the sisters put in a trail, they thought about putting a trail that meandered way up into their property, is that people wouldn't take that. They would think, oh, this is part of the sisters thing, and so we don't want to go on their property, as opposed to, oh, this goes along the road, I can see where it's going and it can get me from here to there. So I think that if the school wants to build a connection point through their own property and be responsible for that maybe that's something we could discuss with them. But I don't really support a trail that I don't think the general public will use. And I know personally, I would not be comfortable using. Those are my thoughts. Anyone else have comments?
So I know in past, it was probably like 2 years ago, we discussed the same thing where it was the worry of how isolated it is, who would want to walk this trail at night. Again, do you really want the public going through school property? And I agree with Kim on what she said, the maintenance, the cost, who was going to do all that work, even in keeping it cleared in snow and ice and stuff like that. So I completely agree with Kim. I don't think that's something we should take on. Should be up to the school.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had for my report.
Any questions for Mr. Grimm on any of the items on his town manager's report? All right, town attorneys.
Thank you, Madam President. My report was submitted as part of the packet. Happy to answer any questions or, if appropriate, do so in executive session. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you. Old business. Was there any question about the checklist of bills before I call for a motion? Any concerns about that? Any questions anybody has for Trish is on the line? Yes, Councilmember Clunin.
I just had one question. It was under the workers' comp charges, and there was one charge of $18,842. For citizen info, And I wasn't sure, like, because that compared to, general, the administrative staff charge was more in the line of like $4,000 or $5,000. It just seemed like a huge discrepancy.
Ms. Greathouse, can you take that question for us?
Is that on page 5, Trish?
I'm sorry. I briefly just muted you, Trish, but I sent you an unmute request again. So if you want to go ahead and take that.
Sorry, I'm sorry. My dog's yeah, the world of Zoom. Apologize. I'm not. It was one check that, and then it was there was line items for several different workers' comp charges, but one just stuck out at me at being 18,000 when the rest were in the hundreds or like around 4,000 for groups of people. Let me see if I can, I'll find that here.
Can we send an unmute to Ms. Greathouse to see if unmute request so she can unmute herself? She might
I
be.
just did. Sorry. Sometimes she comes through Bob's microphone. I've got her now.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you. So sorry.
Trish?
Yes.
Yeah, that is a 2-month check. That's why that check is larger than normal. We
Okay.
paid 2 months for that disbursement.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just was, it just seemed, like blaringly large compared to every other one.
Yeah.
Did you have any further questions, Councilmember Clunin?
No, thank you very much for that clarification.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions before I call for the motion? All right. Can I have a motion for checklist approval? Okay, Councilmember Taro.
I'd like to make a motion to approve check listing number 4 dated April 1st, 2021 to April 30th, 2021, totaling $1,482,476.89 is submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board and town website.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Swager. I'll call again for any questions we might have. All those in favor of approving the checklist indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Checklist is approved. Continued discussion on the volunteer firefighters real estate tax credit. Bob, do you want to start us out?
Okay, and you all received a little bit of a summary that I was able to piece together regarding this. We did bring the steering committee up to date just to brief them on where the discussions had led with this. In our review, we did see that any kind of a direct stipend to the volunteers is taxable, depending on the amount of money that we would give them. Would be a question of whether or not we would be required to issue a 1099 for that money, but technically it's taxable, and we would probably want to take care of the or address the taxes as we submitted that or submitted those payments. We did see what the average earned income tax credit had been for 2019 and 20, right around $310, $20 per firefighter. And we did take some time and looked at what the real estate tax credit would be for those same firefighters on average. And we're looking at an average credit of about $211 for those people. So that puts you in a range between $200 and $300 for a credit that a firefighter or a volunteer or retired volunteer firefighter may receive. The only other thing that I wanted to mention to you is during that steering committee meeting, there didn't seem to be a lot of concern on the part of the volunteers in terms of any differences that one firefighter receives versus another. But they certainly would welcome more, but they were happy with what they were receiving. And Councilmember Smith was on that meeting if you wanted to add anything or.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is at least with respect to the non-retired firefighters, that it seemed like there was a pretty strong feeling that they wouldn't want to get a taxable benefit in lieu of the tax credit. Bob, would you agree with that?
Yes. Yes, I would.
And so one of the thoughts that, and it was in the report, one of the thoughts that I had was leaving the tax credit the way it is, but then offering gift cards to those who can't claim the credit because they don't have income, to the retirees. Because at that point, the tax implication to them for a gift card wouldn't really amount to anything, because the reason they're getting the gift card is because they don't have the income that they're reporting to, that they're getting the tax credit for.
So I'm hearing you suggest that we keep our current tax, real estate tax income, real estate, hold on, that we keep our current volunteer tax credit as it is for non-retired firefighters. Leave that as it is, don't change that. And your recommended and across the board set sum to be put in a gift card, maybe like a Visa, so anyone could use it either at Giant Eagle or Lowe's or wherever they wanted. It wouldn't be like, oh, here's a gift card to Sam's. It would be
right.
something open that where they could use it anywhere. Am I representing that correctly?
Yeah, for the retirees,
For the retirees, right.
And we could play with it, like, if they filed a tax return and reported under X amount of dollars in income, or whatever the details would be. But yes, that would be that was my thought. That was my thought.
So let's take comments on that idea and how we feel about that, and then we can talk about, if we like that idea, then we can talk about the amount that would be. Can I hear comments on this idea or an additional one? I kind of like that idea, actually.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Woods.
can we hear from Mr. Grimm about the implications for the town? Like what, because it's not, I don't think it's just as simple as purchasing a gift card, right? With a 1099, those people then?
In theory, we should, because it's considered income for them. To be honest with you, the easiest solution from a staff perspective, from a town perspective, is to go with a real estate tax credit for the retirees, or like Shaler did, that they're just issuing refunds. That probably is the easiest thing to do.
Okay,
And we'll, at the end of the day, we'll do what you guys want to do. You're the policy makers. We're the implementers. It's a bit more complicated for the tax or the gift card, but if that's your preference, we'll make it work.
so they would pay their taxes and then we would send them a rebate, is what you're saying?
That's what Shaler ended up doing, and it seemed to make sense.
Okay, and that's the easiest logistically. It takes the least amount of staff, the least amount of paperwork, the least amount of,
Yes.
okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a process that we already use. We're
Okay.
normal tax refunds, so we're not creating something new.
Reinventing the wheel, okay,
Right.
okay. Councilmember Clinton.
I agree, and I think that would probably be easiest for the firefighters as well, just to receive a check back annually. But just question, how many of the volunteers we have, does this apply to many individuals, or is it just, it's just a couple?
At the most
I
11.
believe? Okay. And I guess there is not a situation, I think it was brought up before, where someone is retired and renting. I guess would be the one time we'd have to think, keep going further, another step down the road.
You know, I think if we would run into that, I mean, I don't know that that's the case, to be honest with you, because we don't know all the ins and outs for each of these firefighters. I would maybe suggest if we end up in that regard that we follow Councilmember Smith's suggestion, so everybody gets something. But we're going to have very few of those situations.
Councilmember Smith.
I mean, hearing that the real estate tax rebate is the easiest way to go, that's got my support then. And then like Bob said, if we come across those random situations, we can always do, one-off approvals or something, or that I'm sure that could even just be something that's kind of an informal policy at that point, because I just don't think it would be a regular occurrence.
And we could just include that in the resolution. We'd have to have some kind of, it would be, and if this doesn't, then this. We can put that in. Steve can write anything.
Thanks.
I'm holding you to that forever, Steve. Now,
I didn't say it all be legal. I said he could write it. So any comments on that? How do we like that idea? That sounds like that's a good, that would be working for the town as well as for our retired firefighters. Okay. All right. Okay, good. I got a lot of nods there. So now let's talk about the amount. So the average we saw was 200 and what was it? I'm looking here. The average property home value was 218,000. So the average credit would be 211.93 to 1193.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Wood.
I'd like to see it be up to $300 for the real estate tax credit.
Okay. All right. Are other council members comments on that?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Clinton.
I also agree on a flat rate for the service provided.
Well, it wouldn't be a flat rate. It would be if your real estate tax was only $100, then you'd only get $100. But you could get up to $300.
Mhm.
So it would still be based on how
Okay.
much you're paying. So it wouldn't be flat.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Do we like this? I got a Councilmember Sponholz nod. Okay, good. Councilmember Clunin, Councilmember Woods. Okay. All right, Councilmember Terrell. Terrell, you're good? Okay,
Mhm.
all right. All right, do you think you can write something up that looks like that, Solicitor Corbel?
I believe that I can indeed write that up, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then we'll look forward to that resolution coming forward and seeing if it's something that we can adopt. Is there any other comments about this or anything anyone wants to add at all? Okay. What a
We-
work in progress. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Swagger.
Do we have any public, I didn't know if there was any public comment or anyone.
We took all of our public comment during the public comment session at the beginning.
Yeah, I just didn't know if anything else came in since then, if there was anything. Any other comments?
No, no one else had signed up
Okay.
later.
Thank
All
you.
right, all right. Thank you all for working together for resolving this. This was a hard one. All right, under new business, the first motion is a housekeeping motion to get rid of some of all the papers that we have for shredding of public records. And anyone have any questions about that for Bob? This is something we do from time to time just to get rid of stuff. Okay, can I have a motion, please? Councilmember Clunin.
Move to approve tentatively identified resolution number 8 of 2021, declaring the town's intent to destroy public records in accordance with the schedules and procedures for disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual approved on July 16, 1993, and as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Smith? Okay. If there's no question on this, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. The next motion is to approve the authorization of a application for a grant. Is there, Bob, did you want to talk about this at all, or you just?
This is just following up on the conversation that we had a month or so ago for the ballpark trail. As we discussed at that time, the DCNR grant that was submitted in April was for design. This will be for construction costs.
Any questions? Okay. Can I have a motion then? Councilmember Woods.
Madam President, I move to approve tentatively identified resolution number 9 of 2021, authorizing submission of Wall Park Greenways grant application.
Okay, second. Councilmember Sponholz. Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. C was to discuss and possibly award the garbage contract, but a representative was not available to be here in case we had any questions, to answer those. So I would, unless somebody's comfortable just accepting the contract, I would like to table this. And then I think maybe they can make our next meeting, and it's also a very lengthy contract, so it gives you a little more time to digest it. And then we can have any questions that we have for the representative. If that is okay, can I have a motion?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Woods.
I move to table the awarding of the garbage contract to a future date.
Thank you. Second, Councilmember Smith. All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll table the garbage contract. All right, we have a lot line revision. I think RJ, you may be on.
Yes, I don't believe I see a direct representative from the applicant, but that's okay. This one is very simple. It is a lot line revision, all compliant with our subdivision design code. It appears to be for the purpose of one neighbor moving a very small piece of property over to the other neighbor. Not sure of the backstory there, so I'll spare you the backstory that I don't know. Engineers reviewed it as okay. Planning Commission has recommended its approval.
Everybody's happy? Nobody's complaining of all the people involved? That's the real question, right?
Everyone is.
Everybody's happy.
Everyone
Okay.
consents?
Everybody consents. Everybody's happy. Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. May I have a motion then?
Madam
Councilmember
President?
Sponholz.
I move to approve the lot line revision application for the Rosenel, Geyer, and Geisler lot line revision plan submitted by Justin Rosenel, located at 9636 and 9640 Old Coomer Road, block lots 946-K-368 and 389, as reviewed by town engineer in their letter dated May 4, 2021, and recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Swiger. Any questions about this or concerns about this? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Is there any other new business? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Okay, Councilmember Smith. And second,
Second.
Councilmember Sponholz. All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a very nice evening and have a very safe Memorial Day.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Have a good one.